Hey everyone, PJ Mills here again, and I know it's been a while since I've been able to do one of these, but when it comes to music video releases, they can kind of be all over the place, and I'm not really able to show too much behind the scenes footage when it comes to the videos if the videos haven't officially been released yet. But today, I'm very excited to take a look at a video that I had the pleasure of directing, producing, and editing, and that is Your Gun, My Knife by Christian rock artist Zahna. Now in the past, a lot of the music videos that I've directed and or been involved with have mostly been independent DIY type situations where I'm writing, directing, operating the camera, and then also editing the thing and whatnot. And don't get me wrong, I love all aspects of the process, but when it came to Your Gun, My Knife, the artist expressed an interest in trying to bring on as many people as we could potentially get on the crew, and one of the first departments that I highly recommended we spend some money on when it came to the budget was the camera department. I very much wanted to focus my abilities on directing because pretty much from the very beginning that was always my end goal, was to be solely a director. And that can very much be a difficult thing to do when you're handling lighting and camera operations and things of that nature. Thankfully, the budget was there and we were able to bring on a team of individuals who were just remarkably talented and skilled in their craft, and we were able to take our production to the next level, and it was so nice to be able to focus on the story and let the camera department do their job. Now I don't have a ton of behind the scenes content just because I had a crew member that had to back out at the last minute, but my wife and I were able to grab a few shots here and there, and hopefully y'all will find this enjoyable. One of the most important things when it came to this project specifically that I wanted to explore and utilize was unique lighting, because for me, I think lighting is oftentimes drastically underutilized because in a way it can kind of function as a character or a visual representation of the progression of the story, and I wanted to have that shown here. And if you've seen the video, you know that when things begin, from a story perspective, things are very bright and clean feeling, and almost suspiciously so. But as things progress, they get slowly darker and darker until finally the last couple scenes are just baked in this oversaturated red with these dark shadows, and it's just very tragic. And we find ourselves in a place that's completely different than where we began. And I wanted that to be represented because that's obviously the story that we're telling here, is this person enters the industry and is trying to be true to themselves, but basically ends up selling their soul for fame and money. And it's a tragic story that I wanted to reflect with the lighting. So yeah, that was a fun part of the process that I really wanted to explore with this video specifically. Like I said before, pretty much every music video project I had done up to this point was me behind the camera, and once again, I enjoy that. I really love that part of the process, but it was so nice to be able to focus on the actors, and they did a phenomenal job of getting the scene where it needed to go. And because I come from a documentary background, I don't actually like interrupting things all that much. I kind of prefer things to develop organically. So once we explained the scene and the atmosphere and the characters and what we needed to see, I just let them have a conversation, and then we changed the angle and they would continue talking, and it felt very real, especially if you're not necessarily capturing audio and it doesn't matter what they're saying. If you want the conversation to look real, well, have a conversation. Fun little behind the scenes story. When we were getting the lighting set up for this scene, I really wanted the apples to pop. The camera crew went above and beyond and actually got a small spotlight and shined it on the apples. When I came in there and saw that, I was like, man, that is awesome. You guys did such a good job. So if any of the camera guys or our camera department from Your Gun, My Knife are watching this, I very much appreciate all the work that y'all did to go above and beyond and make this video look really phenomenal, because it's those little details that, while not everyone may specifically notice, in the end, it's very apparent how much time and energy went into making this thing look really neat. Another little fun tidbit about this scene, the lyric sheets that our antagonist hands to Zahna are actually all written by me, and they're nothing super special. I kind of just rushed to come up with some stuff last minute, and that's what I was able to come up with. And anyways, just thought I'd throw that out there. Another fun little part of myself I got to include in the project, so that's fun. Once we finished that scene, we decided to move on to the performance footage because it was starting to get late and there was a real concern that the drums might actually be a disturbance, because I believe there were some apartments a couple floors above where we were at, and we were worried if it started getting too late, then we may actually get the cops called on us. So we got everything set up for that and started recording, and we got a wide shot. Then we pushed in a little bit closer on the lead singer, and then after that I had him jump over to get a shot focused on the drummer specifically. And all this was boom, boom, boom right after another, because like I said, I kept looking out the door expecting there to be a cop there, and I was like, oh man, please, we got to get through this. We got to get this performance footage. So we got the first shot, second shot, third shot, and then still no one was knocking at the door. So I was like, sweet, awesome. So we pulled back and got another close-up shot on the lead singer that included the drummer in the background. And literally right after we concluded that shot, I look at the door and there's a security guard there knocking, shining his flashlight in there. And I was like, oh my goodness, we got it. We got it, So it was one of those huge reliefs. And again, take this as very important advice for you other filmmakers out there. When I went out there to talk to him, I had all the paperwork showing that we were permitted to be there and had the signatures to prove it. And he didn't actually ask to see any of that, but I had it in case it was asked, because there's nothing worse than security or the police showing up and you not having proof or anything in writing to show that you're allowed to be there, because you could be kicked off the property and the whole thing would have been shut down, and that would have been a real tragedy. So I'm glad I took the time to get all that paperwork that way, in case he did ask to see it, would have had it. After we completed the performance footage, we moved on to the final two scenes of the story. In case you're curious, the apple is not actually rotten at all. I tried a couple weeks prior putting a couple apples that I had taken bites out of into different places to see if they would rot and look like I wanted them to, and they all just kind of looked like apples with brown on them, and that's not what I was wanting. So a couple days prior, I got another apple, took a bite out of it, and took a Sharpie marker and just started drawing. And at first it looked terrible, but then I put a couple more layers of Sharpie marker on it, and then eventually it looked pretty good. And I was like, oh, this actually looks pretty good. It looks like it's a poisoned apple, you know what I mean? That black stuff coming out of her mouth is, I believe, toothpaste. It's some kind of like special toothpaste that she uses. And she was like, hey, this stuff looks awesome when I let it run out of my mouth like this. And she sent me a picture and I was like, great, that sounds good. We don't have to use like chocolate or something like that. And then she found some black contacts, and one catch with those was the fact that she was pretty much entirely blind when she was wearing them. So we had to guide her everywhere in order to get her around. And once we had her in the chair for the end of the video, she pretty much sat there the entire time. So that was exciting. I think something that a lot of people that are interested in getting into video and filmmaking in general tend to forget about is the fact that if you're directing or producing or things like that, you're probably going to be the last one to leave, because you got to make sure that everything is clean and tidy and looks the way that it should. That way you're not going to have like a bad reputation with the location. I got back home and I believe the sun was starting to come up. So it was a very, very long day, but very much worth it, because I think the whole thing turned out really great. If any of the people that were involved with the project are watching this, thank you all for making it such a positive experience and working so hard, because I do think this video is something special. And if y'all haven't seen it, which I don't know why you'd be watching this if you haven't seen it, but if y'all haven't seen Your Gun, My Knife, the music video, go check it out. Be sure to support Zahna and her music. I think she's a very talented artist and is definitely up to some exciting stuff. I'm pretty sure she's on tour right now. Thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to check out everything I previously mentioned.